Hi, John O'Flaherty, the B3 burner here, and as you know, I drive a 2011 Ford Crown Victoria. It occurred to me over the course of the past few months that I'm not seeing as well at night when I drive as I used to be. Is it me? I mean, after all, I'm 55 years old. My eyes aren't the same as they were when I was 16. Or is it the car? Is it the headlights? So I contacted my mechanic and said, I want more information on those LED headlights. You know, the ballasts, fans in the back, the whole 9 yards. And he said, whoa, slow down. Time out. Before you go that route, have you considered your lenses? How smoky and fogged up or yellowed up are your lenses? I said, I don't know. I don't think they're that fogged up. I'm actually more concerned about getting bulbs. He goes, well, you know, those bulbs get expensive. He said, I could probably save you some money even on replacing the lenses. It could be cheaper. So go ahead, take a picture of those, text them to me, and I'll let you know how to go from there. So this was the first picture I took, and you look at it and you say to yourself, well, you know, those lenses look, the one on the passenger side maybe looks a little bit more smoked out, but the one on the driver's side, I can see the bulb through there if I look carefully. And I'm not talking about the turn signals at this point. I'm just talking directly about the headlights. And from that particular angle, far back a little bit, not that far back, but, a ways back from the bumper, it looked pretty clear. Then I went and took some pictures closer up, and that's where I saw the difference. So first I looked closer at the driver's side headlight, and I said, a little worse, but not too bad. I think I can live with that. Let's look at the passenger side. Oh dear, that's looking a little bit worse than I thought it did. And then I took a closer look even from there. So first I looked at the driver's side close up, and I go, ooh, those look pretty pitted and scratched up. That's not good. Then I looked at the passenger side, and I'm like, oh my God. The whole thing is fogged up. You can't see it from further away, but it actually looks sun-etched, like the sun has burnt through it. Okay, so back to the main image I showed you. I texted all these pictures to Mike, and he said, look, I really think it's the lenses. Let's worry about lenses first, and then if you're not satisfied, we can talk about LEDs. He says, I'm going to order some for you, and when they come in, Francisco's our light specialist. He'll get you beamed up and get the new lenses installed, and try it out, and let's see how you like it. So we fast forward a week and a day to June 24th, and the boxes of lenses have arrived, shipped to my mechanic, and there they sit in front of the car. Now it's hard to tell again in the shadows, but those are the old lenses in dire need of replacement. So we'll see the before and the after in just a moment. Hey, and you can tell those are already looking cleaner than the other ones, especially easier to see in the sun, and I suppose when you compare them side by side, one picture next to the other, or one right after the other, you can see the difference. But the real test is not them being turned off in the daytime. The test is I go out later that evening, and we'll see how they do at night, lighting up the road, and that will be coming next. So I shot video of the event, which I'll show in just a little bit, but first let's start with a screen grab from the video of the car before I started it and the headlights reflecting off the garage lights. And from there you can see that at night, even though it's not the clearest picture in the world, that the headlights are looking really clean and crisp and jewel-like in the evening. Wait till we turn them on and see what they look like when we drive down the road. Well, you can see another screen grab, and this is looking pretty sharp. The headlights on, and they're shining pretty darn bright. Though from that distance, until we actually see the lights as they hit the road while we're driving, it's not a real good test, but it's a good start. Now, this becomes the real first indicator against the garage door that basically a light bar, a horizontal bar of light, is lit up directly onto the garage door. Now bear in mind that's only from about, I'd say that's about 4 feet away. So We don't get a real sense of what that's going to be like until we get on the road, but it's a start. That's my first indicator that this changing of the lenses has worked, because I don't remember seeing light like that before against the garage door. And here's our first screenshot of the road, and looky here, these are the low beams. And before I get to high beams, let's talk about this. Gives a very bright footprint, but unfortunately it appears to only be within the first 50 or 60 feet on this 2-lane road. And ideally, I'd like to be able to see a little further than that. I notice there's a little bit more emphasis on the white fog line than the double yellow line, which is fine because we don't want it shining in oncoming cars' eyes, but that's a start. And here it is switched to high beams, and you can see that item, whatever that is, a column or a sign in the weeds off to the right is illuminated, and it shines much further down. That would be ideal, and all I'd have to do if I could drive with my high beams all the time. I think the ultimate solution, though, is we're going to have to beam up, or get Francisco to beam up the aiming on the low beams, or on the headlight buckets as a whole, just a smidge, so that I can see further than 60 feet, maybe 100 to 150 feet with the low beams, and then the high beams would be really high in angle. That would really only be for moments like this when there's no cars directly on the road or in front of us. And here's the low beams with oncoming cars, just to give you an idea of the fact that that footprint probably isn't going to bother them. In fact, I could probably have that beamed up a few more degrees and it still wouldn't bother them, because again, the main cast is off to the right and not across the yellow line at oncoming traffic. Now, with all that being said, let's take a look at the video that we shot, that these screenshots came from. Now, bear in mind, the video is, I think I shot it straight through about 30 minutes. We're not going to look at all of it, but I'll edit it down to some key places where I'm driving both on dark 2-lane roads and under streetlights in town. So let's go ahead and see my intro and then go it from there. Okay, John O'Flaherty here. Got some new headlight lens covers for the Crown Victoria. You can see them crystal clear even at night compared to the old ones. And now I'm going to go out and I'm going to test them. The beam projects onto the door. Certainly seems very bright. They look nice. Hopefully they project on the road nice. Let's see what we get. Note that the low light features of the iPhone, such as low light adjustment and white balancing, may be making the headlights appear whiter and brighter than they are in real life. The left beam may be cast a little too far out. The right beam looks about right. Only one way to find out. Let's go out on the road. Let's give it a shot and see what we got. Now note that this is a moderately lit residential street. The cars that are parked on either side don't really show up too well until we turn the high beams on, which is a minor concern. Now, as I get ready to turn on this more main street, you'll notice that the streetlights at the intersection take more precedence. And as I approach this streetlight coming up here, you see that the overhead light obscures or cancels out the affected low beams, so it really doesn't matter on a street like this. It's when we get to darker areas that how bright the lights are become an issue. So as you can see, downtown, no problems with light from the businesses and the overhead street lights. But when we get out on the rural two-lane roads is where we're going to see if these headlights really can measure up. Hold on just a second, I'll show you. So as we drive southbound and leave the bright, comforting sanctuary of Oakdale, you can see that right after this traffic light is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, with the headlights. And it is pitch black with nothing but farm fields on either side, and of course the oncoming headlights. And this is where it really counts. And I'm looking at the edges, and actually I'm seeing a better fanning out of the lights to the side than I originally thought. But as I approach this traffic light and turn off the main road onto the side road, you can see there's the low beams, there's the high beams. But is the spread and the depth of the beams as effective as they were on the main road? That's the question. I think on that narrower road, I just don't feel as comfortable with them. I think they need to be beamed up a bit. Alright, and northbound on Claws. Yeah, I think the camera makes it look brighter than it really is. Well, at least the headlights light up the T intersection and the stop signs pretty well. Traffic from the left does not stop. You better believe it. And this is the type of high-intensity glare that the camera doesn't show, but it's very hard to ignore no matter how good your headlights are. Not a bad low beam throw against those cars, but remember, they're on the outside of the curve. I must say these brighter headlights helped me negotiate this cement S-curve, and let me speed things up a bit while we head back home. So as I pull into the driveway, what's the big takeaway here? Well, aside from the fact that the left beam is slightly higher than the right one, that can always be adjusted later, I think this proves that simply changing out the scratched up lenses is a good start. And if that's not to your liking, LEDs can always be put in later. I'm John O'Flaherty, the B3 Burner, and so long for now.